Alright, let's make this quick. So recently I learned that the company that owns the following film had the original video blocked for being viewed everywhere. So I had to go back and make an entire edit of the thing in its place. Hopefully this one will stay up without any issue either, because if this gets blocked too, I'm going to commit Anton Blast Square buns so hard. So anyway, where were we? So for those who don't know me, hi, how you doing? Let's talk about Cars for a moment. Premiering in 2006, Cars follows hotshot racer Lightning McQueen as he finds himself with the town of Radiator Springs, quite by accident. During his time there, he soon learns about the town's history, starts getting along with its inhabitants, and even has his morality changed for the better. The film received critical acclaim and soon became one of the top franchises from Pixar, even bigger than Toy Story. It got sequels, a short film, shows, spin-offs, games, books, and of course, toys. Oh yeah, and also ripoffs. I already discussed about them in my videos on Jimbo and Bike, so to make it very simple, something popular exists, something else is made to cash off its success, rinse and repeat. And Cars got its own fair share of them. These are the following. Video Bring Kettles to Little Cars, which was then turned to a direct-to-DVD series over the span of 7 more entries. You can't make this up!
That's impossible.
Sparkplug Entertainment's A Car's Life, which got its own fair share of sequels that are actually better than the first film, but it's still mockbusters regardless. Blue TV's The Autobots, the only mockbuster that Disney put a lawsuit against, and not only did they won from it, but it also caused an actual sequel for it to be cancelled. And The Asylum's Cargo, which is just as half-assed as the rest of their animated catalog. There is one film, however, that, while maybe another ripoff at first impressions, is anything but that. Wheelie is a Malaysian anime film that was released in 2018, with a theatrical premiere in the very country and a direct-to-DVD English dub a year later in 2019. Now for all the ripoffs I mentioned, they all usually copy anything and everything from the original film in some way, including the title, characters, and story, and written in a way to be differentiated from the real thing. But we know better about their lies. In the case of Wheelie, while critics have panned the film as such, one of the people behind it assured that it's anything far from it, having its own unique story and characters. And we're gonna find out if that's really the case. So, let's get right to it. We start off by arriving in the middle of an official race held by Gasket City. Among the racers is a young Wheelio Wheels, competing for the lead against Joe Flo, which is quite the vibey name if you ask me. During the race, Wheelie decides to make an order of petrol as his victory fuel should he win. This order is given to Putt Putt, a scooter who speaks in third person and also refers to anyone formally.
Of course Putt Putt knows Mr. Wheelie, only Mr. Wheelie doesn't know Putt Putt.
It's kind of like Toad from Thomas the Tank Engine in a way. You know, without the whole third-person talk.
I've got a plan, Mr. Douglas. May I stay here today and help Mr. Oliver?
Putt Putt arrives at the city, but he's told that he can't enter the track despite claiming his order. Nonetheless, he decides to enter by going through the sewers, and he manages to get in, right in the path of Wheelie. In a panic, Putt Putt drops the petrol, causing Wheelie to slip out off the road, drive into a railway line, get himself launched to and hit by a train, crashing to a bay and almost drowning.
That escalated quickly.
After the accident, Putt Putt takes Wheelie to an experienced repair vet named Frank. While he can still fix him, Wheelie's still missing a few parts, including an axle, as the model he has is discontinued. 1 year later, Wheelie has since retired from his racing days, and now works as a taxi cab to make ends meet and helping his mother with her cafe. And Putt Putt even now dedicates himself to look out for him. One day, as Wheelie is out on the run, he runs into Joe as he and his friends are out on a race of their own to Gasket Central. Wheelie tries to follow them since he's going there anyway, but could barely keep up because of his current faults. Up ahead at the city mall, we meet Bella DeMonati, a spokeswoman for the Merry Motor Petrol Company with dreams of going to actual stardom. During the shooting of a commercial, Joe and his friends take a shortcut through the mall and run right into the middle of it. Wheelie sees Bella about to be crushed by some equipment and hurries over to save her, as well as having a brief awkward moment with her after. Wheelie heads back out on his route, but unfortunately has a run-in with Sergeant Street after Joe and his pals race by. Thinking Wheelie is part of them, she immediately puts him under arrest, with his mom having to bail him out. When they get back to the cafe, something goes off inside Wheelie. It turns out to be Bella's phone, as earlier, while rushing to her, he had it drop into his seat without knowing. On the end is Ben Hubbonnet, Bella's boyfriend, who angrily demands Wheelie to bring back back her phone to his mansion immediately. Seeing this as a chance to meet with Bella again, and also maybe getting a cash reward to help fix up the cafe, Wheelie and Putt-Putt make their way to the mansion. When they arrive, Wheelie tries to get in, but there's a party going on there, and he can't enter unless he has an invite. Putt-Putt has an idea of getting him in by painting him up as a waiter, and it worked like a charm. Outside, 2 other cars are waiting out of sight, these being Parmo and Rumble, 2 henchmen working for Kaiser, a lorry who has his eyes on sports cars and breaking up the parts for the black market on board his ship, Crank.
Yeah, man.
While Wheelie blends in, he goes to see Bella, who got a call from her manager that a film producer in Hollywood wants to bring her over as a lead role. Wheelie finds her just as Ben spots him. Spilling some drinks over the both of them, Wheelie's cover is blown and Ben calls security before he could explain, with Bella recognizing him before he gets taken away, and Ben then telling Bella that they're going to get married as part of inheriting the family fortune from his father. After that, Wheelie goes off on his own to think about everything that happened, with Bella also leaving shortly after to get some fresh air. Along the way, she's met by Brad, another car who also has the sights for her despite her already having Ben. Parmo and Rumble are also following Bella and fire an overrider at her, only for it to fall off when she gets bumped by Brad. Just as Bella leaves him behind, the crooks attach the overrider to Brad, take control of him, and whisk him away to where Crank is docked.
You really shouldn't drink and drive, Brad.
Wheelie then arrives at a cinema to clear his mind. There, he meets another taxi named Amy, who actually recognizes him from his racing days, and even gets his autograph. Bella then arrives too, much to Wheelie's surprise, and from there, they manage to get along with each other. Wheelie then brings her over to Ramal's cafe, and after some more bonding, Ben's bodyguard arrives to escort Bella to her suite. Once she arrives, she finds Ben waiting for her there, where he goes on about the honeymoon he planned for the both of them, but Bella was quick to kick him out. Back at the cafe, Wheelie is then suddenly visited by the same bodyguard and tells him that Ben has challenged him to a race. Should he accept, he'll be given a cash reward of $100 million if he wins. Wheelie accepts the offer next morning despite his condition. But during the race, however, Wheelie was able to find ways of getting in the lead by taking different alleyways as shortcuts, something that he's learned during his taxi work. Wheelie arrives at the race's endpoint and waits for Ben to arrive, only to find Street there waiting for him. It turns out the whole race was a setup plot by Ben to have Wheelie arrested so he could get him away from Bella and have her to himself like the actual bloody incel that he is.
This guy stinks!
At the station, Wheelie makes a call to Bella about what happened, to which she goes straight to Ben and breaks up with him right there, which is a good move on her end, along with telling him that she's accepted her lead role.
Wanker!
At the same time, Kaiser is furious with Parmo and Rumble about the mix-up, so he decides to join them for their next attempt on capturing Bella. During her drive to the airport, she decides to visit Wheelie's mom, who's already distraught about what happened to her son. Bella then decides to make one quick detour to the city prison to visit Wheelie. Before she could even have the chance, Kaiser and his crews managed to override her system, take control of her, and make off with her as their prize to Torktown where Crank is docked, with Putt-Putt witnessing everything. Putt-Putt races over to the prison to tell Wheelie about what happened, leaving him decide to rescue her. Luckily, Putt-Putt had already made a plan to bust him out, with the help of his fellow scooters and some spicy petrol that the guard confiscates. Drinking the whole jug, the petrol gives her a major backfire, causing her to start a chain reaction of mayhem within the prison, and it even gets the attention of a nearby street. Putt-Putt and the scooters lead Wheelie out to a storm drain, except he's too big to fit in. But Wheelie then improvises another way to escape by pulling off a two-wheeler on the collapsed tower and ramping off of it, right into a tree.
They escaped into the tunnels!
You are trying my patience!
After their successful escape, Wheelie and Putt-Putt begin their journey to Torktown. Once they get there, their first idea is to go in incognito to ask the locals if they've seen Bella. With no leads, Putt-Putt unintentionally gives Wheelie the idea to call up every other taxi in town if they see Bella, but they all think he's just mad and drive off. All but one, Amy. She tells Wheelie that she was at the town port and saw Bella being loaded onto Crank, and agrees to lead Wheelie over, but not before Wheelie tells Putt-Putt to stay behind, saying how it could be dangerous when he gets there. Once the two taxis arrive, Parmo and Rumble halt Wheelie from entering. Wheelie tries to play off by saying that he's arriving with an urgent delivery, but they were wise to him and tell Kaiser about it, who immediately dismisses him, but that doesn't stop Wheelie from slipping in anyway. Parmo and Rumble try to stop him, but Amy arrives, rounding up some of the other taxis in town to hold him off, giving Wheelie a chance to escape. Meanwhile, Putt-Putt is suddenly met up by Frank, where he tells him that he managed to find a new axle for Wheelie, Putt-Putt tells him that Wheelie's gone off to save Bella and to stay behind, but a fortune cookie tells him otherwise and decides to go help him anyway like a true friend. As Wheelie navigates his way to Crank, Kaiser activates his security system to hold Wheelie off from getting there by having to take control of the cranes and crush him with containers. Putt-Putt and Frank then arrive to look for Wheelie, only to get caught and brought on board Crank, where they find Bella. Seeing Wheelie still alive, Kaiser then takes control of the cranes himself to get rid of him.
Mr. Frank, can you open door?
I can try.
So, is this a good time to mention that he's actually my favorite character? Wheelie manages to survive everything Kaiser throws at him and rushes over to board Crank, only to run into a spike strip set up by a police squad led by Sergeant Street, giving Kaiser the advantage for him and Crank to make off with their ill-gotten gains. Frank, Putt-Putt, and Bella manage to break out, and Frank decides for them to jump off Crank. He and Putt-Putt were successful, but Bella got her bumper caught by a chain link due to her damage it earlier out of anger. Street decides to actually be useful for once and orders her tow lorry to swing Wheelie over to Crank to save Bella, with Wheelie even using his doors to glide over and land aboard. Just as he and Bella reunited, Kaiser charges at them, sending Bella to Crank's fence and getting caught. Wheelie tries to stop him, only for Kaiser to ram him into Bella, causing the fence to break and for her to fall to the ocean. Enraged, Wheelie tries to attack Kaiser, only for the hard lorry to slam him into some oil drums. This gives Wheelie the idea that if he's going down, they're going down together. So he ignites the spilled oil with sparks, have himself and Kaiser charge towards each other, and then sending him into the drums, causing a massive explosion that sends him flying all the way back to the harbor. As everyone looks over to the horizon, thinking the worst that happened to Crank and everyone else on board him, they see him appearing through the smoke. In a sudden turn of events and change of heart, Crank had actually managed to save Bella without even explaining why he did it. Bella thinks that Wheelie didn't make it either, but this is a family film. As the old trope of this type of movie goes, the main character never dies.
Are we dead? Am I in heaven?
So in the end, Bella becomes Wheelie's partner, Frank was able to complete his repairs, and the low taxi could returns to racing. I haven't learned that it's not what's on the outside of someone that counts, but it's what's on the inside that really matters. And that, folks, is where our journey ends. Alright, so what are my final thoughts? Animation. The animation is provided by Cartoon Studios, and it's actually passable. Even the balls of the characters aren't that bad. There were some times, however, where the frame rate would change every now and then, and also a few rare goofs that happened here, like in this scene during Putt-Putt's first visit to Wheelie's cell, where he gives him some of that spicy oil from his breakout when it's supposed to be regular oil, and how when Wheelie was being chased by Kaiser's cronies, Rumble's hat was gone for a few shots. Writing is so-and-so. As much as I appreciate the story it's going for and how most of the characters are presented, I feel like there's a lot of things here that could have some touch-ups. Like, for example, Wheelie's mom being angry at Street rather than her own son after bailing him out, or what exactly caused Crank to have his change of heart. Hell, I think Putt-Putt definitely needs to be reworked as a character for that matter. I mean, he's quick-witted, sure, but everything else about him is just annoying. There's a bunch of other things in the film that I want to point out, but I don't want us to stay here all day discussing that. Dialogue's alright, mostly. All the voice actors sound alright, and each of their voices fitted quite well for their characters, save for a few actors that actually had their voices recorded at low quality, including Frank's actor, Jade Sheldon.
Aren't you the little bike with the broken race car? 1 year ago.
There's also a couple of pieces of dialogue in here that, while thankfully not frequent, were, and to say this with full brutality, cringy.
Hashtag no friend. Hashtag lonely. Hashtag forever alone.
Music is fine for what it is. Everything for the film's soundtrack went well for each scene they were used in, but aside from a few selections, it didn't really stick out for me. There were some tracks that were used more than once throughout the runtime, and besides the credits, even the film's own theme song played thrice in this. But it wasn't that frequent either, so there's that. Overall, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, the film's not perfect, but at least it made an attempt at being its own thing. There are some other cons in here, like some of the non-car characters actually having eyes similar to the car's style, and the use of the Hanna-Barbera sound effect library among other things, but even despite all that, Wheelie stands as an outlier amongst the actual ripoffs out there. And I can vouch on that statement since the idea of the film came from 2014. That makes about 4 years before its release, whereas the actual mockbusters are usually released within the same year as the film they're ripping off. You can argue about it all you want, but at least there's actual effort put into this thing. And again, while it's not perfect, it still stands as its own thing. I mean, come on, let's be real. We've already had plenty of shows and movies about cars with faces before, even after Cars premiered. I mean, it's like claiming anything about, let's say, Trace of Faces that came out after Thomas the Tank Engine, rip-offs of Thomas the Tank Engine. I mean, imagine actually doing that without any second thought. couldn't be me. Finally, I could give myself that much-needed break I've been deserving of. Now then, let's get started. I forgot that was there.
There, don't smile because it happened. Cry because it's over!